All right, folks, welcome back to Kings of Opinion. We have a special guest with us, Steve Shady Brady, sitting to my right, and the Wanderer back to my left as usual. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
All right, there you go. Nice.
Welcome back.
All right, so we got you here for one thing and one thing only. So I'm going to give you the floor to start us off with. I'm not going to do the Ryan's rant this week. It's going to be Shady's time to shine. We had a big day yesterday in, I guess, New York baseball, because both teams came back in spectacular, if not epic, fashion. So start us off with the Mets.
Just to be clear, I would be on more often, but they're not paying me enough, so that's why I only make very selective appearances moving forward now.
Well, that's not my fault. I don't even really get paid. We have to wait to get paid. So when we get paid, maybe I'll be able to afford to pay you. But that's neither here nor there.
Start subscribing to the show. Maybe they can afford to pay me.
Right. Now get some sponsors.
I'm not here for a long time, so I'm gonna keep this short and sweet and as consolidated as possible. You know, the Mets season as a whole has been one of these years that special things are made of, and I'll start from the beginning of the season. They were sort of treading water out of the gate.
Treading water, they were terrible. Let's start with that.
Let's start with
Be
this.
honest, they were
I'm
terrible.
going back to the beginning of the season.
Correct, they were terrible.
They were
beginning of the
treading
season.
water to begin with. They were a 500 ball club, and then every hole that could be that could have been plunked into this shit happened.
I'm going to Zach Morris you. Time out. Wander, were they treading water in the beginning of the season, or were they terrible?
They weren't good, but they weren't. It took a little while for them to reach their lowest point.
It took a little while for everything to collapse. Is what I'm trying to say. They were treading water, and then everything collapsed.
Okay.
And by a collapse, I mean we sounded the alarms. The Mets season was over. Everyone was talking about it. It was a highlight thing on ESPN where everything that could be going wrong was going wrong.
Ship was sinking.
And the ship was definitely sinking. And
not like the Titanic, at least not as of yet.
Right, not as of yet, but what happened was the ship was sinking. As bad as it could be, it was.
Okay.
We gotta highlight that, because as bad as it was is as bad as it got. I mean, like, that was it. We hit low after low after low, and everything around us was falling apart. And then something happened. And you and I talk about this all the time, and I'm going to go into it a little bit here. It was a very organic thing. What happened was, for whatever it's worth, Grimace threw out a first pitch. Now, no one going into that game thought anything could become of that. It was just a very organic thing, and that's what errors are made out of. They're made out of this very organic thing that you don't take with you and then move forward with. It's almost like you look back on and say, what changed? And that was the moment that everything changed. Looking back on it, that's what changed. Since that first pitch, the Mets, since May, have had the best record, proudly, in all of baseball. No one even comes close. In fact,
is that a fact?
Fact.
Okay.
In fact, I was looking, and I know your statistician's not here today. Not that he's any good, because every time I say something, or any time anyone says something, he doesn't fact check it or whatever.
Right. Well, it's good.
But either which way, they've had the best record in all of baseball since May. And what we see now is this team that's like really firing on all cylinders. In fact, I looked at the standings recently. If they were in the AL East, instead of being 8 games back, they would be only half of that. They would be 4 games back behind the first place Yankees, who had such a torrid start to their season, have since then come back to earth, whatever the case may be. But I mean, my goodness, what the energy right now is so high. Everything's firing on all cylinders, and the game that they played against Toronto, that last game,
let's talk about that game,
encapsulated their entire season in a nutshell. The whole theme of that game was, you step on our fingers and we climb right back to the top. We were getting no hit going into the top of the 9th inning. And Francisco Lindor, who in my opinion, hands down, it's not even an argument, should win the MVP this season.
It is an argument.
It's not even close.
It's
Without him on this team, they're not doing what they're doing.
We can talk about that next.
And it's really not up for debate. I'm not going to even talk about it. It's a fact. I know we're on an opinion show right now, but it's a fact. So that last game against Toronto, when you're getting no hit in the 9th inning, and you come back to not only win the game, but win the game by such a large margin, It encapsulates the entire Mets season in a nutshell. We're playing great baseball. San Diego's slipping, Arizona's slipping, and the most important thing, and this is probably the thing I'm most proud of, is having the toughest schedule remaining in all of baseball. I was watching MLB Network today. The Mets, bar none, have the toughest schedule in all of baseball for the rest of the season.
That is true.
And the reason why
That
you
is a
want
fact.
that, the reason why you want that at this moment is because every game moving forward is meaningful. For the Yankees, it's meaningful. For the Mets, it's meaningful. For the Phillies, all these teams. Because honestly, it's a lot closer than people think. I know there's only 2 weeks left in the season, but if you're in one of these dog fights for a wild card spot or anything like that, every game is meaningful. So you want to test yourself now and make sure you have that grit that it takes to get to the postseason and then catapult yourself into the postseason with what you do now. With what you do now matters more than anything. So them having the toughest schedule in the baseball is the only thing you could want moving forward because you want to be able to test yourself now. Test your mettle now. Face the Phillies, face these other teams, face Atlanta, and let's go. Let's go Mets, baby. That's all I got to say. I'm going to throw it to you next. I'm sure you got something to say.
Oh, I always do. You know that. So, you didn't want to touch upon the MVP of the National League, so I'll keep this brief and I'll say it like this. Do I think Lindor should be the MVP? I side with you on this. I strongly agree. If he's off the Mets are a sub 500 team.
100%.
No doubt about it.
100%.
Maybe even looking at 15 under 500.
Yes.
Done there. However,
It's
MLB,
like the same thing could be said about Aaron Judge.
well, MLB, we're not even going to talk about the Yankees. You don't have enough time for that. We're just going to stick with the Mets. MLB loves Shohei Ohtani. For what reason, I don't know. Well, I do know, but it's neither here nor there. It's like par for the course, So we're not going to talk
I
about
think we
that.
all know why they love Shohei Ohtani.
Exactly. And he's having a fantastic season. And statistically better than Lindor. However, he's not pitching this year, which if he was, I don't think his stats would be as hitter friendly. Huh?
He hasn't
No,
pitched at all?
because he still has that torn
Oh, I didn't
whatever
know-
thing
I
in his
didn't
arm.
realize that.
So he's healing up this year to pitch next year. But either which way, I think if he was pitching, he'd be exerting himself more, and he wouldn't be having the stats he has now. That's one. Two, they want to say he's going to be like a 50-50 guy, like 50 stolen bases and 50 home runs. It's certainly possible in the next 2 weeks he hits 3 home runs. I think he already has 50 stolen bases. If not, he's damn close to that too, because 2 weeks ago he had 40. So whatever. But for me, if that's what you're going with, stolen bases, that's not impressive to me anymore. They made it easier for you to steal bases and manufacture more offense. If you really want to look at that kind of stuff, which we could go down that rabbit hole, how many of those stolen bases did he wind up scoring on afterwards? That would be important. If he only scored on 5 or 10 of them, then those stolen bases are left empty on the base. What's the difference? You steal second and get stranded, who cares? Anyway, it's still going to go to Ohtani. With that being
Well, no,
said.
and this is where we disagree. The only reason why I do is because MVP literally means most valuable player. So there are certain things that you can measure in numbers, and then there's these intangibles that you can't. And one of the intangibles that we're talking about here is Lindor's impact on this team. And that's something that, again, they'll have to leave it up to the actual voters and however they determine that. But what he has done, what he's contributed to this team, is almost like you can't measure it in numbers. Like I know Ohtani's stats are better. Lindor's having one of the greatest seasons as for a shortstop that you've seen in a long time, especially on this team. Like we needed this. Without him, we're not where we are. You could argue, the Dodgers lineup overall with Mookie Betts and all these other guys, they have their catalysts. Like Lindor's our guy. Like without him, we're not where we are, which makes him the most valuable player. That's what the MVP means.
I don't disagree with
It's
you.
not measured just solely.
I'm just telling you.
stats.
I'm just telling you. It will wind up going to Ohtani because it's just like when you.
Well,
had,
then, would you say that's a snub? Then
100%
Would you, so
100%
we're in
snub.
agreement for like
Agreed.
one of the rare times on record
on record for
that,
sure.
that if it goes to Ohtani, Lindor got
Snub,
snubbed.
100%
Okay,
snub.
fair enough.
I agree with
I can live with
everything
that
you
as
said.
long as I got that from you.
Yeah.
I can live with that.
100% snub. And it's a shame, but if you go back to the history of MLB, you got guys like Miguel Cabrera, Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, who were on losing teams and were MVPs. So as long as you're gonna have that, you're never gonna have. You're always gonna get the snub. You know what I mean? And that's that. You know. And we'll put that really to bed. I now want to talk about the Mets game yesterday. So I had a chance to watch it from, I want to say it was the 6th or 7th inning yesterday. I was at work, a little downtime, put on the Met game, there was nothing on. I didn't want to listen to the news and all this political nonsense that's going on right now. So I'm watching the game, and they're getting no hit. And I'm thinking, wow, they're getting no hit against Toronto. So now it comes to the 9th inning. And to your credit, and here comes your first feather of the night, probably the only one.
Those are hard to get nowadays.
Those are hard to get. They're like golden gooses, you know? It was the tale of two teams. From the first 8 innings, it was the Mets from April and May. The last inning was the Mets moving forward after May. Like, I think they started their playing really well at the last week in May, and they carried it through the rest of the season.
You don't have to tell me, like me being a Met fan for all these years, the Mets are supposed to get no hit in that situation. Like, we're supposed to go down 1, 2, 3 in the 9th and get no hit.
100%.
This is why this is a different team.
It's different. Now, the question is, and I'm going to ask both of you, is can they parlay it for the rest of the season and into the playoffs? Because as of right now, you're 100% right at what almost everything you said. The Diamondbacks can come back to earth, and so the Padres. They're only up a game and a half and 2 games up on the Mets. And the Mets have a game on the Braves. I think the Mets play, what, a 4-game series against Philly right now, or is it a 3-game series starting tomorrow? I don't really remember.
Either which way.
Either which way.
Maybe a 4-game.
They play Phillies 7 times.
And Atlanta, I know, plays the Dodgers.
Yes. I think that starts tonight, actually.
Yeah.
So
which is good. I like that.
Right. 100% because you want the Dodgers to beat down
Yeah,
the
let them
Braves.
go into
100%.
LA and, you know.
Get beat up. But I think there's only like 15 games left or something like
Yeah,
that.
thereabouts.
7 of which they're playing the Phillies, who are arguably one of the better teams in baseball.
Yes.
All right, let's just say it like that just to make it nice and simple. If not the best. Record-wise, they're probably the best.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're really good. So your gauntlet is half the games with Philly. Now, can you make up 8 games? I don't even think at this point you care if you make up 8 games or not.
The goal isn't to eclipse Philly. The goal is to
to
have
make
the
the
first
playoffs.
wild card.
Correct.
The goal is to take the position of the Arizona Diamondbacks right now, who are in first place in the wild card.
That's the goal?
That's the goal right now.
Okay,
yeah.
that's fair.
Because again, it would be like you can control your own destiny to a certain point, but like you'd also need like Philly to lose a bunch of games, not to us, but also to other teams. And when you start relying on things like that, I never like to do that. I never like to be one of those situations where it's like they got to lose, and in conjunction with that, we have to win. Let's control our own destiny. We're in the wild card right now, and this is what I told you earlier this month, or I should say in August rather, because this month just started. When the Mets, and Wander probably will agree with me on this, when the Mets weren't in the wild card race and they were like a game out, a game and a half out, I said that's perfect. And you and I disagreed on this. You said, nah, I'd rather be the guy that's on top of the wild card. And I understand your position on it. My position is just different. Like, I'd rather be the hunter than the hunted. Like, it was still early enough in mid-August to be the hunter and not the hunted, and we're seeing this all play out now.
But
We're
now
seeing
you're
this-
the hunted.
Well, not necessarily, because those are the 2 teams that are ahead of us.
Right, but
they
you
still
have
have the bullseye on their back.
You have one team behind you. Now you have a bullseye on your
we
back.
talked about it earlier. Atlanta's public enemy number 1 right now. They gotta get swept by the Dodgers.
They're your Houston Astros.
They gotta get beat up out there.
They're Houston
They gotta
Astros.
get beat up.
Yeah.
I love that they're going to LA right now. That doesn't change the fact that we still have our job to do. So let's try to. Again, I told you the goal right now is to eclipse Arizona because they have the wild card.
They're close.
The top spot.
They're close.
You don't want to be that 3rd seed. You want to be the 1st seed. Again, could they eclipse Philly? Maybe, but a lot would have to happen in that situation. Like Philly would have to like virtually lose every game, and the Mets would have to virtually win every game. I'm not banking on that. I'm banking on.
We've seen it before.
Well, we've seen it before. And unfortunately, I've been on the wrong side of that before.
I'm
But
glad
I'm
you
not
picked
saying
that
that.
up.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
glad
No,
you
I
picked
know.
that
I knew where you were going with that because every little chance you get. But anyway, the point being, you wanna try to eclipse Arizona, and then get into the playoffs. Like worry about that. You know what
I'll
I
be
mean?
honest
Like
with you.
don't forget this whole. You know, let's try to win the East. We shot ourselves in the foot with that. We should have been,
Agreed.
again, all those early months,
Agreed.
April, May,
Agreed.
whatever.
I'll be honest with you though. The way the standings work out right now, and how close everything is, if I was a Met fan, or if the Yankees were in a similar position, at this point, the way this season has gone and they've played so well, I don't think I would care what position I am in the playoffs. I would just have the mentality of being relentless like the Mets have been, and just as long as I make it into the playoffs and I have a puncher's chance, I'm gonna punch you and punch you and punch you, and you're gonna have to beat me.
We've seen that the historically hot teams do the best.
Correct.
And that's what we're looking at right now, and that's why it's such a happy time and such a optimistic time, because we have that momentum. You know what I mean? So, but I bring up the Philly thing only because I like to look at every angle.
No, you have to.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not ruling that out. I'm just saying a lot would have to go right, and a lot of that's something that we can't control.
No,
like they would have to virtually again lose every game, and we'd have to win every game.
Pretty much.
Which could it happen? Yes, but it's not something I'm looking forward to. My goal right now is to eclipse Arizona and have a chokehold, like a nice 4-game lead on that first wild card spot, and then have everyone looking up at us. Because now's the time to do it. When I told you back in August that we were the hunters, I meant it, and we were, and you can see it now. It's abundantly clear. But now the goal is to keep the pedal on, straight down to the floor, and go over the Padres and Arizona, which I think we're a better team than both of them. I really do. I mean, we saw the little sample size when we went out west. We didn't do terribly out there. 2 out of 3 against Arizona, 2 out of 2 against the Padres.
2 and 2, yeah.
Yeah, 2 and 2 against
But
Padres.
you came back
2 out of
under
3.
500 on that trip. I think you were
Well, then
46.
after that we went someplace else. But I'm talking about those 2 teams.
Right,
we didn't do terribly against them.
No.
We match up pretty well against them, actually. Like I wouldn't be afraid to see them again. I wouldn't be afraid to see any of these teams again. Especially LA, who's notorious for collapsing during the postseason. You would know better than me.
I'll be honest with you. This is the one year where any team that makes the playoffs can win the World Series. Like I haven't seen something like this.
It's so open. The parity this year is like really open.
I know I'm
really
not 60, 70 years old where I'm like, yeah, I saw Mickey Mantle play and whatever. Like, I'm not, obviously. But since I've been watching baseball, I can't remember a year where there's not even going to be anyone close to 100 wins probably.
I'm going to say this, and you're 100% right. There's a lot of parity. There's a lot of. It's like who gets hot last wins. Like that's who that's who I'm going.
And we're rooting for 2 separate teams to do that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
I don't want to. Again, I love to talk about the Mets, but I want to switch to the Yankees for just a second.
Let's do it.
Before I go.
Before you head out.
I said this to you before. I haven't gone on record and said it, but my dark horse, and I want to know where they are in the wild card standings, has been the Kansas City Royals in the American League. Where do they sit right now?
They have 80
because
wins.
if I'm not mistaken, they just took 2 out of 3 against the Yankees.
No. We took 2 out of 3.
Oh, you guys took 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair play.
The Royals are in second place. They're only 4.5 back of the Guardians.
And wild card standing?
Wild card standings right now.
Game and a half?
They are in the second spot, a game and a half above the Twins.
All right.
Tigers still alive.
They're an interesting team for me. The Royals are an interesting team to me.
There's a lot of interesting. Look at the Tigers. They have 75 wins.
A team that's not.
I don't even remember who my dark horses were.
Zero expectations.
Yeah.
Just to
they're
even
3.5 back.
That's not a lot, dude, for the wild card. Someone slides a little bit, you're in there.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if you were like a game and a half like the Mets were, I would say okay. It's like there's a little bit of a gap there.
Yeah, but who are they playing the rest of the way? Like, what if they play 4 games against the White Sox and you win 4 games and all of a sudden the Twins lose 2 games? You know what I mean?
I'm just saying.
This is wild.
The Royals, their pitching staff, there's a lot to like with that team. I'm just saying. I mean, just to switch gears to the AL for a second, because I'm sure you got some AL guys out there that are probably like, "Oh, this guy's fucking talking about the Mets for way too long." I like the Royals to make a little bit of a splash, and it's in these last 2 weeks. Let's see what they can do. I mean, they played the Yankees.
Played them tough. They played them tough. I watched all 3 games. They played them tough.
You know.
And speaking of which, yesterday, so the Mets did what they did yesterday afternoon. Last night, the Yankees weren't getting no hit, but they might as well have because they had like 1 or 2 hits in I think it was like 8 innings or something like that, maybe 7. That guy Reagans,
the lefty DeGrom.
Yeah,
as they like to call him.
Whatever. Anyway, he was no joke. He's their ace. He was no joke.
He's really good.
But the Yankees did a good job of running up their pitch count, and then I've seen something I haven't seen in a few years, if not longer. Soto gets up to bat. We're losing 1-0. By the way, Gil went 5 innings, 1-run ball. Fantastic. That's fine. I know they're trying to limit his innings for the playoffs, so I'm totally fine if to me,
What was his pitch count about? Do you remember?
it was probably close to 100. I'm not gonna lie.
Really? In
yeah.
5 innings?
Yeah, he's been wild lately.
He
so
came back down to earth.
you know, but
He's not the same pitcher he was at the start of the season.
No, he's not because he's been more wild. But I'm not gonna talk too much about him. He did the job. He went 5 innings, gave up a run. To me, nowadays that's a quality start. I know the quality start normally is 6 innings, 3 runs or less. But if you give me 5 good innings, a 1-run ball, and get out of trouble, I'll take that every day.
The quality start has drastically changed
Dropped.
since
Yeah,
I
100%.
started watching baseball.
100%. But
They've lowered the
moving
standards.
forward, he gave the chance. He gave the Yankees a chance to win. Soto comes up. I don't remember what the count was, but either which way, he fouls off a ball off his front foot. He goes down, like he limps out of the batter's box and like a little bit up the first baseline. If guys haven't seen it, he goes down. I'm like, oh my God, this is all we need right now. 2 weeks before the playoffs is, a fractured whatever in his foot or his shin or whatever, and we have the same old Yankee team we had the last 4 years, and they lose in the playoffs, whatever. He gets up after 2 minutes of whatever with the trainers. He gets in the box. The next pitch, he hits probably over 400 feet over the right center field wall. And it was magical. And he did the most outrageous bat flip I've probably seen a Yankee do. Like, he puts his hands up a little bit, then he's got the bat, and then he gives it a little twirl like it's a baton, and then he puts his hands back up, and he pumps his chest a little bit, and he starts rounding the bases, and he's doing all this crazy stuff. And I was like, wow, right? Crazy. Amazing. 2-1 Yankees. The Royals, the next top inning, they come right back, tie it up again. I think it was the 9th or the 10th where they each score a run. And then we fast forward to the bottom of the 11th. The bullpen actually did a good job. They held the Royals in the top of the 11th. And we had Volpe on second. Judge wins, I think it was a sacrifice fly. Volpe goes to third. Judge automatically gets walked. So now you have first and third. And Chisholm just slaps the ball to the shortstop. Shortstop makes a fantastic diving catch. But Volpe's so fast, he had to rush the ball or throwing the ball. He throws it wide up the first baseline. Yankees score, Yankees win. Fantastic. At home, which is perfect because just the same way the Mets game was a catalyst for them, hopefully moving forward, I want last night's game to be a catalyst for the Yankees moving forward because the Yankees' problem this year, which is weird, and I want to see how it works out in the playoffs. And please tell me what you guys think. Normally the Yankees would beat up on really bad teams and they'd be like 20, 30 games over 500 against bad teams and play 500 ball against the good teams. They're the exact opposite this year. They've played down to shitty teams.
It sounds familiar.
And played up to good teams.
Sounds familiar. Sounds like the Mets.
Right? But it's weird. The Yankees never do that. So to play the Royals as tough, and obviously we know the Royals are really good, and they've had a great season on their own. To take 2 out of 3 even at home, and then let's not forget months ago, right before the All-Star break, or was it maybe I think it was before the All-Star break, and then they started going on their tailspin down. The Yankees took 3 out of 4 from the Royals in Kansas City, and Clay Holmes, blew the 4th game when we were winning.
Clay Holmes is so
And
shitty, bro.
that game. That game was the catalyst of us going in a spiral for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see when they play these teams in the playoffs. Are they going to be that tough still? Like, I don't know. Like,
We'll have to see.
it's going to be exciting. The playoffs this year is going to be very
It's
exciting.
gonna be exciting.
You know.
Unfortunately, I have to tip out of here, but I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
stopping by.
Enjoy your feather. Enjoy your dinner with the missus.
Yes, I'm wearing this feather proudly too.
Right.
You don't really get these nowadays.
No, you don't. No. Thanks for stopping by.
Later, fellas.
Later. Yeah, so Wander, like I was saying, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I think both ball clubs are in a good state of mind right now, and
Yeah.
I'd like to see them go on a little bit of a run because I agree with Shady with the whole. This is when you get hot and you take it into the playoffs.
Yeah, you want them battle ready.
Right? Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
How do you feel about your Mets so far?
I think, I'm more than, I'm grateful, I guess, because of, I got to be honest, I didn't really expect a whole lot out of this team, and I know not so long ago, people were panicking. I think it was after the last blown save, I guess, by Diaz. I forget who that was against, but people start panicking again. But I still have faith because just of how many games are left.
Right.
But again, too, like I think people have to temper their expectations because it's so big because of the history. But I think they're in a great position right now, and they're right super close to Arizona and San Diego. So I think that it's definitely possible that they can finish with that one.
Right.
First wild card. But there's some games that have to be played. So we'll see how they perform in this crunch time. Environment.
It's going to be a good fun 2 weeks, I'll tell you that. Shifting gears for a moment, or for a good few minutes, the NFL kicked off this past weekend.
It did.
And a lot of crazy things happened. We all know, since they've gotten rid of one of the preseason games and added one to the season, that September's a little rough for football. Yeah. I mean, everyone's still going to watch because they're kings of the castle right now.
Right.
But a lot of sloppy play all over the place, which I'm okay with. Mm-hmm. The way it started last week with the Chiefs and Ravens, great game, but still a little sloppy from both teams a little bit. But
there was quite a few, what was it, calls on the center, I think.
Yeah, some missed calls and
some new rule or something.
Yeah, some things. The kickoff thing is cool, I think, early on for me, like the landing zone or whatever. Like I understand it, so it's fine.
Right.
And if it
seems to make it more interesting.
Yeah, instead of just like
least.
instead of just kicking it out of the end zone and okay, we're starting at the 20 or whatever, or the 25, whatever it is. But I like that rule so far, and I think as the teams get better, you're going to see more action on the kickoffs, which is good.
Right. They did have one return too over the weekend.
Yes.
Arizona.
Yep. So you got that. I know you guys are waiting for our picks. We'll say them in a few minutes. We won't have our records yet because our statistician and I guess half producer of the show is not here today and doesn't have the Excel spreadsheet for us, but we'll get that to you guys next week for sure. I want to touch on a few games. The Giants for one. I don't know what games you watched. I watched a bunch of games.
I tried to watch the Giants game, but I had to turn it off. At one point.
I didn't have the luxury of turning it off. We were at Fallon's, and shout out to Fallon's and Kelly, by the way. Did a fantastic job for us opening weekend. It was a blast. So that's one. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, if I could have shut it off and put on any other game, I would have. I started to watch other games and not pay attention to them. They were abysmal.
Yeah, I thought it would be a good game.
Me too.
But surprisingly, they couldn't really get anything going on offense. The defense was getting torched.
And Sam Darnold looked like Aaron Rodgers when he was an MVP.
Yeah, I think that was probably the most surprising part.
Right?
Was how good he looked. Just not what I expected to see.
No,
but
they got
guess,
crushed.
The Giants will have a chance to get back on track this week against the Commanders, I think.
Yeah, they're playing the Commanders.
So I feel that's got to be like a must-win game for them at this point.
Absolutely.
Just for
just for pride purposes and like
the overall state of the team and I guess Daniel Jones, right?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, if they don't win again, if they don't beat the Commanders, which honestly I don't think they're going to do, because the other thing I watched is during the week and was Jaden Daniels. He looked good last week, and against a Giants secondary that's pretty much non-existent. Like, we could be secondary for the Giants, so it's not saying much. Like, he might light them up, and they're on the road, which might be a good thing for the Giants, but we'll see this weekend. We got a game tonight. Well, I'm not even going to get into that yet because we'll start that in a few minutes. But Anthony Richardson looked really good with the Colts. That Texan Colts game was must-see football.
Wire, yeah.
Oh, must-see football. Like, two they're not rookies anymore, but 2 young quarterbacks going back and forth.
Right.
Amazing.
A lot of offense.
Oh, a lot of offense. It was that was one of the fantastic games of the weekend for me at least.
Yeah.
One of the worst games is my Monday night game.
Oof.
I waited all week for this game. And I'll be honest with you, and everybody else out there, I didn't really think the Jets were going to win that game.
Right. You're playing the, Super Bowl representative from the NFC.
Correct. And San Francisco's really damn good, right?
Oh, yeah, they're stacked.
Stacked. And they know what they're
Even
doing.
without McCaffrey.
Right, and they know what they're doing. So, and I'll talk about our coach in a minute, but they have a really good coach. Kyle Shanahan is
Probably the
one of the better ones. I don't want to say the best, but one of the best out there.
One of them.
But I at least thought they would keep it competitive and it would be close.
Yeah.
Like, I thought they would cover the spread. I think they were getting 3.5 points. Like, I definitely thought it was going to be like a field goal kind of game.
Right.
And it wasn't. And they showed rust. They showed lack of discipline. They showed that they didn't have much of a pass rush, which I didn't even realize. Like, I knew they lost Huff last year, who was a big part of that push for the run game. And they didn't have Reddick there because he didn't play, so whatever, because of his contract, so I get it. But I still thought they had everybody else. Yeah. Apparently they lost somebody else too. That was a big run block stop, a run blocker kind of guy.
Definitely let them down.
Yeah, and like, listen, in the beginning of the game they did their job. Field goal, field goal, field goal.
Especially after the turnover.
Right, like they did their thing, but then the offense couldn't get going. And I get it. Like, it's hard to sit here and Monday quarterback it, where, Aaron Rodgers, he was okay, but the offense still wasn't getting going, and like maybe that's because he didn't play in the preseason and didn't take any snaps. So okay, whatever. You lose this game against San Francisco. I'm going to Tennessee this weekend to see Aaron Rodgers.
Nice.
I'm a big fan of Aaron Rodgers, even though he does all that weird stuff like the darkness retreats and what is it, hibiscus, ayahuasca, whatever it's called. Just eat a biscuit, bro, whatever. Anyway, but I liked him when he was on Green Bay. My dad was a big Green Bay fan, still is. So when Brett Favre left, came to the Jets, that was dope. And now Aaron Rodgers, who I liked as a quarterback, now he's on the Jets. Like, I want this guy to be successful. And I get it, he's coming off a major injury, so I understand how you're going to protect him. I'm glad he came out of there healthy and there's nothing to report. Because that means I'm guaranteed to see him this weekend, which I'm super stoked for. Going to wear his jersey. If I could somehow finagle my way for him to sign it, that'd be fantastic. I doubt that's going to happen, but you never know. That would be awesome. I'd add it to the wall of awesome jerseys that I have, which I only have 2. Tino Martinez and Curtis Martin. If I could get Aaron Rodgers, that'd be dope. But they were so disappointing on offense, and like, I feel like they don't do, and I kind of blame Rodgers for this a little bit. Maybe he was a little bit in a fog. The thing I would do, you have 2 really great offensive weapons, right? You got Garrett Wilson, you got Breece Hall.
Yeah.
If you're playing San Francisco or any team and you're not getting the ball moving, okay, you could go and rely on heavy passing because Aaron Rodgers is amazing. Like, he had that one play where he got the guy off sides and threw a bullet to Lazard, who caught it in the end zone.
Right.
Is that going to happen every week? No, but things like that you could manufacture. Like, why can't you just have Breece Hall slide out to the left or right, dump him the ball if you're in trouble, and have him run his little ass all around on the field?
Open it up
yeah, and then like they're gonna have to protect against that. That'll open up the wide receivers and the tight end, and then you could, dunk and dive and then bomb the ball down the field and get the offensive working. Now, I don't know a lot about football. I don't claim to, but if I could see this kind of stuff with other teams that are doing this, why can't the Jets head coach do that? And why didn't Aaron Rodgers pick up on that? Like, he could run the offense himself. He doesn't even need Salah.
Right.
Just make some stuff happen. I don't know. That was disappointing.
Yeah, frustrating for sure.
Anyway, week 2 starts tonight. Real quick, Bills, Dolphins. In like 20 minutes, I'm going to say, is going to go down. I'm rooting for the Bills today, partially because I have James Cook in my fantasy.
It's a good guy to have.
Yes, so I want him to have a big game. Let's go Bills with James Cook. Let him score like 2 touchdowns today, 120 yards, rushing, receiving, mix of both. I don't care. Let's just get it done. He needs to get in the end zone more. It can't always be Josh Allen running to the end zone every 1st and 5 on the goal line. You know what I mean? I get it. He's big, but give it to James Cook. He's earned it by now. You know what I mean? He got you guys to the playoffs last year when they switched up the offensive coordinator. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. Who you rooting for tonight?
I don't really have a dog in the fight. Just hope it's a good game.
Sounds good. I'll take that. So now let's go for our picks. We got no Ernie here. I'm going to start us off for Ernie. He's going with the Lions versus Bucks, -7.5 for the Lions. He's taking the Lions. Chargers Panthers. No shocker here because I also did this pick. Chargers -5. Then you have the Cowboys versus the Saints. He's taking the Cowboys -5. That's a tricky one as well as the Saints played last week. But let's see what happens in week 2. We know September's a shitty month for football, so we'll see how it goes. And his last pick is Texans versus the Bears. He's taking the Texans at -6.5. What are your picks?
I did look at that. I did like that Texans game, but decided against it. Bears didn't play that bad last week. Actually, Bears won, so
Right.
I don't know. I guess maybe that scared me off a bit.
Maybe.
So yeah, I am going with the Ravens at home. I think they bounce back in a big way. It's 9 points, but I think they'll cover that and lay a shellacking on the Raiders, I believe.
Right. So you got the Ravens with the points?
Yeah.
What is it, -9? Oofa.
Yeah, so I think that they'll get that done. I like the Niners. We're obviously one of the best teams in football, -5.5. They are playing
The Vikings.
the Vikings. We'll see if Sam can keep it going. I don't think he can. I guess we'll find out Sunday.
Not against the Niners, I'll tell you that. Go ahead.
It's gonna be it might be a little different than facing the G-men.
Right.
And then third up, I have the Eagles on Monday night, -6.5 versus Atlanta. Atlanta didn't look very good, and I think the Eagles are, pretty potent offense, so I like them to cover the number.
And what about the Cowboys?
Oh, and of course,
You're taking the
I have
Cowboys.
I have to pick that game. I'll take the Cowboys because they covered last week, so that's good enough for me.
All right, perfect. My picks are, I share some with both of you guys, which is great.
All right.
I like it. So we'll start off right at top, 1 o'clock, Jets, Titans. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be super stoked, probably super drunk, and I'm going to be paying attention to this game all the way through because I have nothing else to watch. I'll be at the stadium. Jets, I'm going to stick with them, -3.5. I took them last week. They made me look like a fool. They're not going to make me look like a fool this week, though, because I'm going to be in the stadium.
We're gonna make you look cool.
Yes, agreed. Go to Jets all the way. Then I got the Niners versus the Vikings. I'm also taking the Niners.
I mean, it's a sexy pick.
It really is. -5.5. You just beat the Jets by like 19 or whatever it was. I think they're going to crush the Vikings the same way. So this is like my no-brainer of the week. Bing! Then we go with the Chargers versus the Panthers. This is a second, pick of the week, basically. Chargers -5, take them all day. The Panthers have looked terrible. I can't see them getting it together against the Chargers. The Chargers have to have a little bit of both offense and defense. I think they'll be fine. And my last pick, I like the Texans and Bears. It didn't scare me away. I just thought 6.5 was just a little bit too much, especially with the Bears being at home. So I shifted to a tough game, and I'm taking a chance. It's the Colts versus the Packers.
Ooh.
Colts -2.5. I like that number.
I did look at that too. So
I'm taking the Colts -2.5. All you gotta do is win by a field goal. Count me in, especially the way they played against the Texans.
right.
And right now, Jordan Love's not going to be playing that game, so they're going to have the backup. What is that guy's name? Is it Willis? Malik Willis or something like that?
I'm not sure, but yeah.
He was the old Titans quarterback. They traded him to the Packers like right before the season. So whatever. Those are our picks. We're excited for week 2. We're excited for a lot of baseball this weekend. This is a
Also-
very super weekend.
Also, shout out to everyone who got knocked out of the survivor pool with the Bengals, like myself, it happens.
That game broke me last week because I had Joe Burrow as my quarterback. He was absolute dog shit. I hate him for that. However, it's week 2 now. Let's get it going. I forget who they're playing this week. I think it's Kansas City.
It is.
So that's going to be like another good game like tonight's game where it's like it could be an offensive explosion. And I got players on both sides of the ball, so that's going to be a really big game for me.
Right.
Moving along real quickly, stuff we've watched. Saw Beetlejuice.
Oh, how was it?
It was good.
Okay.
It wasn't like Top Gun Maverick where it was almost better than the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
It had a lot of Easter eggs. Michael Keaton was phenomenal as Beetlejuice still.
Nice.
I like Winona Ryder. I could have done without Jenna Ortega, honestly.
Oh, she's in it?
Yeah, she's like Winona Ryder's daughter.
Okay.
They gave a nice little shout out to to her father in the movie. Like, obviously he passed away, R.I.P. But like he was in it, sort of. I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but they did a nice job with him, and they gave him a little memorial and everything in the movie, which was nice, And the mother was in there. She was a riot for the most part.
Oh, you mean the
Winona Ryder's parents from the first movie.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
I forget his name.
Was it Gina Davis? No.
No, Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin were the ghosts that were haunting
Right.
those people.
Oh, I know. Okay, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There you
It's
go.
been a
You got
minute.
it. You got it.
I know who you're talking about.
Overall, I enjoyed the movie. They had a lot of things they brought back. Could have been better, yes, but I understand it's hard to beat the first Beetlejuice. But would I say go see it? Absolutely. Especially if you could go on like a Tuesday and it's a $7 movie. Definitely go see it. Maybe not go see it at a peak weekend night, but I liked it. So, I enjoyed it.
Nice.
What else? Oh, started watching House of the Dragons.
Okay.
I'm halfway through. I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the amount of dragons that are in it finally.
Yeah.
You didn't ruin it for me either. You said, there was this one fight. That fight was awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
2 dragons down already. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, that was cool.
I don't want to ruin too much. It's been out for a while. I feel like I can ruin it, but I'll really ruin it when I watch the entire season. I'm only 3 episodes away. I'm on 6. Got 6, 7, 8. Boom. I'll be done by hopefully our next show that we have. But that's one other movie we saw. The Mad Max Furiosa.
Yeah.
But I liked it better than Fury Road.
Wow. Bold statement.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember both.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little impartial sometimes with some of these actors.
Right.
Like Chris Hemsworth because he's my guy in Thor.
Right.
So like him being in it kind of like pushed me over the edge a little bit, and he was good in it.
Yeah.
And obviously, the movie is a prequel to Fury Road.
Right.
So Charlize Theron's character is that other girl's
Right.
character as well. I forget her name.
Me too.
Something Joy or other, whatever. She was really good too. It
Yeah,
was
she
a
was
good. It was a good movie. Did you see it?
Yeah.
So you liked it?
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too for the most part. And like I said, I thought it was better than Fury Road. Don't know if they're gonna make another one. You know what I would? If they made another one, you know what I'd like them to do? Get Mel Gibson to star in it. Let him be an old, Mad Max. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Why
He
not?
still wants to act.
Yeah, I think he does. He's done a movie in the recent past. I would say like last year.
Okay.
I want to see the original Mad Max. Like, I think that's what these movies are missing. You know what I mean? The old, what I forget what his car what his car was. It was some sports car, not a Challenger. Whatever it was. Like, I want to see him in it, even if it's for like a quick pit stop, like a quick cameo. I want to see it. Like, I like when they bring people back
Right.
in the movies. That'd be nice. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've seen so far. It's been a hectic kind of week. So that's what I've been got. That's what I got. Anything else?
Yeah, I haven't been watching a whole lot, or at least that I can remember from I guess the past couple of weeks. But I did watch the first season of The Old Man. Ernie, I had seen the first episode like when it first came out, but I guess I forgot about it. But Ernie had mentioned that it was good, and I'm looking forward to the second season. I think it starts today.
Oh, it starts today?
The second season.
Oh, nice.
Yes, but first season, I enjoyed it a lot. First episode is awesome. Yeah, so that
I want to watch that show.
Yeah,
Yeah, I want to
you'll
watch
dig
it.
it for sure.
Yeah, 100%. It looks good. You know what? I'm gonna wait till I can binge the 2 seasons. So it'll be a little while before I get to it.
Yeah.
So sorry, but
Oh, good.
you know, whatever. I know next week, Wednesday, Agatha comes out on Disney Plus.
What's that?
That's the if you saw WandaVision,
Yeah.
she was the witch in WandaVision.
Oh, okay.
So she's got her own
Oh,
show.
right. Now.
Yeah, that's coming up next week, which is hopefully gonna be good. No other news.
In the TV.
No, I
movies.
think that's about it.
Okay.
You got some music for us before
Yeah,
we cut it?
I'll take us out of here with this. 3 picks as usual. First up, it's Thick and Lungs with Carrot Season. Next up is Ankle John with Pride of a Man. And third up, this is the older selection, Radiohead with OK Computer. Those are the 3 picks.
All right, awesome. That wraps us up for week 1 of football, and coming up on week 2. And what else? And we're weeks away from MLB playoffs, so we're super stoked about that as well. Everyone enjoy your week. I know it was a little bit late this week, our episode, so you'll probably get to watch this and then watch us a couple days later with all the week 2 results and hopefully our picking results for the first 2 weeks if Ernie gets it going. All right, folks, have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you when I get back from Tennessee.
Thanks for stopping by.